So when sharks kill 5 to 7 people each year, we call them monsters. Yet when coconuts kill 150 people each year, no one bats an eye. That's not fair. But why is this happening? Well, this is because of the monsterization of apex predators. But what is that? Well, that's when we put human emotions such as evil and malice onto these species that are the top of their food chains. But why does that matter? Well, us humans tend to try and forcefully remove anything we do not like and not really caring what gets in our way as we do so. I mean, we used to have mountain lions roaming the lands of South Carolina, and now they're extinct within the state. But why should you listen to me? I'm just some raving lunatic talking about the end times. But this raving lunatic has done hours upon hours of research for this project and more, and even my own curiosity. I've also fed these so-called monsters, and I still have my hand attached. But why should you care? I mean, you'll be long dead by the time ecosystems collapse, right? But will your children? Whether as parents, teachers, or anything else, we will all dictate someone else's view on this world. So I ask you, would you rather it be one of grace or one of destruction? And while I let that simmer, we can dive into the belly of the beast and discuss why the monsterization of apex predators is the true monster behind it all, through discussing its effects, what has allowed it to fester, and maybe some ways we can arm ourselves against it. So if you're willing to listen, take up a sword and follow me 2 feet to the right. So as we begin, we can see this phenomenon all the way back to the Roman Colosseum as they drug these creatures into the arena and fought them for sport. And unlike the rest of the barbaric blood sports, we did not leave that in the past, as we were calling these creatures way into the 1950s. Why does this matter? Well, according to Nowicki and his colleagues, ecological researchers from across the US and Australia, who published in 2021 in the Journal of Animal Ecology, the loss of predators led to compounding issues with climate disasters to rapidly tropicalize the surrounding area. So this ecosystem was already suffering from climate change, which was causing environmental degradation. The loss of predators just compounded on that, making it worse. But some of you may be saying, we're doing reintroduction, we're doing conservation, we're doing all these things to make it better. But even in that, we can see where these preconceived biases lay. As according to the ICUN, the leading authority on conservation classification, on the ICUN red list of threatened species of about 20 minutes ago, there are currently 5 species of hammerhead shark that are critically endangered, which is the second highest classification. While the figurehead, the giant panda, hasn't been endangered for about 8 years at this point, and I doubt any of you knew that. And right there, we see where those preconceived biases lie. But what is causing us to leave these 5 species of hammerhead and many more that you don't even know about to die? What is causing us to do this? Well, in the past, it was primarily caused by human fear and unease, whatever goes bump in the night. But if we look at it from a more modern lens, we can see that the issue is that their modern lens, the media. In this speech, I'll be talking about one in particular, and that is Hollywood. So what's a movie we have all seen that defined how a generation viewed an animal? Nothing? How about a hint? Donna. Okay, you guys are losing me a bit of time, but Jaws. So some of you may say, it's just a movie they made $1 billion at the box office, but a movie. What if I told you it's used in policy making? As according to Christopher Neff, a lecturer and associate dean at the University of Sydney, published in 2015 in the Australian Journal of Political Science, the Jaws film has been used as a historical analog to help push policies for hunting down rogue sharks. Rogue sharks are not a thing. They are something exclusively from the movie Jaws. And these laws bypass Endangered Species Act, which, as we learned earlier with the hammerheads, many of these species are on the brink of extinction. So these laws bypassing them is ruining that conservation that we are trying. But I will not pretend like no one is dying to these animals. While the Jaws film is loosely based on a real-life event, there is another movie that is more directly based on one, and that is a movie by the name of The Ghost in the Darkness, which is about 2 lions who, over the course of 9 months, attack a group of British bridge builders and kill, according to the movie, about 100 people. According to Bruce D. Patterson, curator emeritus of mammals at the Field Museum of Natural History, who published in 2023 in the Curator of the Museum Journal, the real number of people who died in this tragedy was around 35. And I do not mean to downplay the amount of life lost in this, but we cannot ignore the hyperbole present. Another thing that is left out of the movie is important context onto why the lions were attacking. As according to that same source by Bruce D. Patterson, who published in 2023, one of the lions had a large tooth abscess that made it practically impossible for it to hunt its normal prey. So this was not an act of evil malice or anything of the sort. This was an act of pure desperation to survive. So if we're going against the media, how can this colossus of an industry, how can we as individuals fight against it? I mean, it's not easy to put it simply. There is that human element of just being afraid of whether it has sharp teeth and claws, but there are many ways you can do stuff. There are ways you can do it without monetary through social media or stuff like that. Or if you have the money to spare, donating to conservation and reintroduction efforts is something I would greatly recommend. Some of you may think that reintroduction efforts wouldn't really do anything. They'll just die again. Well, actually, according to Ripple and Bertsta, workers at the Department of Forest Ecosystems and Society, who published in 2012, just 15 years after wolf reintroduction to Yellowstone, who published in the Biological Conservation's Journal, following wolf reintroduction, elk populations decreased, allowing for overgrazed plant life to regrow, bring the ecosystem back into balance. So this ecosystem that was going towards complete ecological collapse with the reintroduction of its apex predator was able to go back into balance, saving countless species that are known and maybe even some unknown to science. But some of you, especially if any of you are farmers, might say to reintroduction, they're going to eat my sheep. But contrary to popular belief, according to Floyd and his colleagues, workers at the Department of Wildlife in Utah, published in 2023 in the Rangeland Ecology and Management Journal, of sheep killed by predation, the animal that held the highest percentage of sheep killed was actually the coyote, which is a mesopredator, which is the rung right below apex predators. And their populations actually surge in response to the loss of apex predators. So with the killing of apex predators, they're actually increasing the amount of livestock killed by these animals. But you've heard the destruction this monster has wrought, the way our media has allowed it to fester through our entertainment and whatever we see, and the ways we can fight against it as individuals. But I cannot lie. This monsterization of apex predators is a true monster. But the most important part, it is not an insurmountable one. And I hope you can answer that question I asked you at the beginning. Do you want to spread destruction to let this monster continue to feed till it destroys our very world? Or will you spread grace and take up a sword like the legends of old and plunge it down, ridding this world of this monster once and for all? Or throw a coconut at it, I guess.